My name is Yacouba. I'm an assistant professor at the higher colleges of technology here in the title of my today's presentation is Calibrating an Energy Planning Model for Energy System Dynamics Approach. This is the content of my presentation. I'm going to start with the abstract and ending with the references. I'm going to try my best again to adhere to the 15 minutes time slot given to me by the conference chair. So we all know it's a fact today that developing countries are experiencing like tremendous power outages, and these outages get tougher, severe as we're getting closer to the summer months. Niger, as one of the most poorest countries in the world, is not an exception. For that, we are planning to present here to propose a system dynamics approach to solve the energy supply and demand issues in Niger. The analysis spans from 2003 all the way to 2050. Okay, and also part of this strategy, we're going to try to see, to investigate 6 policy scenarios. And for the sake of this presentation, only the base case scenario is going to be presented. The input variables are population, household size, per capita energy, electricity, and the industrial sectors. Time again will not allow us to elaborate more on all the aspects of the paper. For more details, please refer to paper 1098. Okay, so I think I'm going to continue as the details will unfold. As I will continue, I will talk more about the details, the findings, and greenhouse gas emissions, and so on and so forth. This is the big picture. I call it the big picture because this allows us to see a perspective and the framework of this work in general. And it also helps us to view the problem in a nutshell, and also helps us to express the policy in 3 points. As you can see in this slide, we have basically 4 balancing loops and 5 reinforcing loops. Again, time will not allow me to elaborate on all of them, but as you can see, we have the major loops. I'm going to talk about the major loops here. Okay, one of the major loops here is this one. As you can see here, we have the population. The population drives the household size. The household size drives the electricity consumption in the households, and that at the same time fuels the demand. From demand, then the supply comes in. The more the demand, the more the supply. Supposedly, yes, supposedly, the more the demand, the more the supply. But it doesn't always happen in the case of Niger. That's why we are struggling with, the country is struggling with its energy supply and demand. Okay, then comes the greenhouse gases. From the greenhouse gases, you can see the more the supply, the more the greenhouse gases, because we still, most of the time, the energy supply is like for around 40% dependent on fossil fuels. And then this backfires on the environment. From the environment, it goes back to the GDP, and then from the GDP, now it goes back to the energy supply again. So, and you can see this from the reinforcing loop. Again, for the sake of time, I will continue. I will not. If you have any question about this slide, please feel free to ask me. I'm going to be more than glad to come back to this. We look at here the graphical user interface. You can see from the left-hand side, we put some sliders where we can change if we want the death rate, the birth rate, the household size, the percent in Yemen, which is just like the housing. We can model this based on the scenarios. We can use the slider to change the numbers. We have also put some buttons, as you can see here. The run button is here. The run button is here on top here. I hope you can see the hand. We have the pause button, we have the resume button, and also we have a button that is called summer. The summer means what? This helps us to turn on and off the summer months. In the summer months, especially what we assume that people will switch to some renewable energy supplies, their own renewable energy supplies at their premises, such as solar and small wind turbines and so on and so forth. So we can switch that on and off based on the scenario that we are talking about. Okay, let's continue for the sake of time. The data. So as far as the this research is concerned, we try to look into the legit data sources. Okay, the legitimate data sources. One of the major information source in the country is the ENS, which is the National Institute of Statistics in Niger. So we got most of the information from them, the population back in 2003. Most of the things that we use here, again, you can see the list. It goes on from population, birth rate, death rates. It goes all the way down there to the newly commissioned diesel power plant, which is between 100 can be upgraded to 80 can be upgraded to 100 gigawatts, which was commissioned in the vicinity of Niamey, not very far, like 5 kilometers away from Niamey. I think that really basically was a bad decision. Okay. The input variables, again, 3 main factors: the economy, the population, and the per capita energy consumption, as I said earlier. The input data can be in the form of conventional or in the form of renewable, as we will see in the upcoming slides. The period, again, as I said, is like roughly 27 years. As far as the methodology is concerned, we try, first, we published an article back in 2014, and we try to update the article. Why? Because some of the factors that we consider in that article, which is they didn't occur over time. As time passes by, we saw that there are things that we need to update, to make this model as genuine as possible. One of them is the dam. Niger is constructing a dam in the western part of the country, and the dam is supposed to be finished in 2018, and it's still not done yet. It's still not done yet, and hopefully, according to official communications, it's going to be done by 2024. So hopefully, it will be done. As part of this, we're going to talk about the thermal power plant commission at Gorubanda, which is 80 to 100 megawatts. There is a 20 megawatt peak solar power plant, which will be commissioned by the end of 2022. Hopefully, it's going to happen. The number of population, the western zone, we're going to focus on the western zone. Why? Because the western zone, most of the subscribers reside in the western zone. Western zone is Niamey and the vicinity region, 70% to be specific. Okay, the span, we talked about the span in the horizon. It goes from, again, 2003 all the way to 2050. The CFP emissions, carbon footprint emissions, will be factored in here, will be analyzed. Okay, this slide shows the map of the study area. As I said earlier, the map of the study area. So the study area is where Niger is a big country. The superficie, which is this mass, the land mass, is 1,267,000 square kilometers, and we're going to focus only at this region, which is the western. It's called the western zone. Okay. As far as the study is concerned, okay, we have specifically two objectives. First one is to investigate the future trends of national supply and demands for electricity after the completion of the dam, which is coming soon, according to the official communication. The second objective is what? To investigate, okay, the socio-economic benefits of the continuous electricity supply from Nigeria and how these impacts would evolve over in the near and far future. We will take a look at that. Okay, this slide shows on the left-hand side the demand sector, and on the right-hand side you have the supply sector. The demand sector, basically, we talk about the household, we talk about the industry, mainly the industry and government sectors. The supply, one of the biggest supply ways, okay, is the electricity imported from Nigeria, which is around 70% of the electricity consumed in Niger is coming from Nigeria. Okay, and then we have Gorubanda, which is the fuel, which is the thermal power plant. We have solar power plants, and so on and so forth. Okay, this slide shows the policy scenarios. As I said, again, for the sake of this research, we will focus only on the base case scenario, which is the first one. The base case scenario, we have the birth rate as before. Additional supplies are off. We have the dam support will come on. The Gorubanda, which is 80 megawatt, is going today. It was commissioned in 2017, and we have the Great Tide PV system near Gorubanda also, which is a 20 megawatt plus some standalone PV that will be able to turn on and off during the summer. Okay, this graph shows the results, the demand and supply trends. Again, it shows nothing but things that I already talked about. When we have the diesel power plant, the contribution of the diesel power plant is here. We have the 20 megawatt PV, its contribution is here. And then we have the 130 megawatts hydroelectric dam, which is here. That is the national supply. And the demand for electricity, you can see, is the black dotted line here. We are basically everything held together self-sufficient until the horizon of 2050. That's where the demand and supply will meet according to our analysis. This one shows the national supply versus the import. We can see the importance of the import. Look at the supply. We can see the national supply is the green line and the import is the red line. Okay, and somewhere else you have the gap between them. The blue is the gap between them. So you can see before 2025, I would say, means after the completion of the dam, supposedly the national supply will be bigger than the import. But before that, you can see that before that, which means from the past all the way to 2025, you can see that the import is bigger than the national supply. Okay, here to dig deep, you can see the gap between them. So first of all, let's look at this. Anything above the gray line is positive, which means we have excess energy. Anything below is deficit energy. So you can see after the completion, we're still in deficit. Niger is still in deficit until we complete the dam. When we complete the dam, then Niger will be in excess. Okay, we'll have excess energy. And then that will last for how long? For maybe all the way to 2050, 2060-ish. And then Niger, if we don't come up with anything else, we will still be dependent, hugely dependent on Nigeria. Okay, and this slide shows the carbon footprints, the greenhouse gas emissions per energy generation. Next, you can see here the red one. Because of the sake of time, I'm going to focus on the red one. The red one, again, is the time's up. Okay, I'm timing myself. So I will just wrap up, okay? So the red one is the greenhouse gas emissions of the national utility company. You can see here how huge it is compared to the rest. We have the dam from Niger, the import from Nigeria, PV system, and the coal power plant in the northern part of the country, which is called Anun Araran, is the second biggest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions in the country. For the sake of time, so a system dynamics approach to model energy supply and demand trends in Niger is investigated in this. And we've gone through the main input variables, the results, and the future trends. The future trends, Niger will still be dependent on Nigeria, even if we complete the dam. In 2025, Niger will still be dependent on Nigeria, hugely dependent. And my suggestion is that the bond between Niger and Nigeria should be strengthened more than ever for us to be energy independent, for us to be in a good shape, not energy independent, in a good shape. Okay, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. These are my references. Thank you very much. Okay, I will stop there.